back to the second installment in our new castle building series. Kinder Knight here, and as you guys can see, I am building up the Lindus family's castle here. And as always, while the time lapse is going, I'm going to give you guys a bit of history, a bit of lore on the castle, but also as well as for the Lindus family. So let's go ahead and jump right on into it. But before we start, please don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel, as it does help, and I really appreciate the support. Grwenhilde Castle is one of Colossea's oldest stone-built castles, originally built during the conquest of East and West Dracovia, out of a need to shelter supplies, house troops, and to keep a presence and a strong foothold on the region. The castle was built by Lindus, half-brother of Larousse, also known as Larousse II. During the late 10th century, he chose the castle's location due to its elevated position and natural defenses, with the original castle being built of much more modest design. The castle's construction expanded upon 5 years till completed. Lindus named the castle Grwenhilde after his mother, who eventually died from complications while giving birth to him. Though being eldest son to the king Larousse I, and his mother being the king's concubine, he could not legally inherit the throne, and so succession was then passed down to his younger brother Larousse II. When Larousse II inherited the crown, Lindus and Larousse remained close and shared a deep love and bond. As when King Larousse II decided to conquer and unite the remaining kingdoms of Dracovia, Lindus loyally fought alongside his brother and led the king's army as his captain. Having played a monumental part in securing victory over the newly conquered and united Dracovia, Lindus was given a dukedom and became the second wealthiest landholder next to his brother the king. About a century passed and the Lindus dynasty seemed secure and prosperous. The family built many other castles, appointed vassals, and secured many alliances. Even Grwenhilde Castle saw new major structural additions and upgrades. As the land prospered, so did the Lindus family. Tanis Lindus, grandson of Lindus, around the age of 40 was murdered by his vassal and ally turned traitor through an effort to steal land. Though the traitors succeeded in ending Tanis's life, the attempt on the lives of his children failed, with his daughter Linda and his son Tilson narrowly escaping with their lives. Linda Lindus, though being minutes older but being born female, could not inherit the lordship title, and so her younger brother Tilson, being the only male child, inherited the rights and lordship of the family's estate and all they owned. But due to the assassination of his father and the attempt on his and his sister's life soured him, and he soon lost the desire to govern. As he began to grow more and more suspicious and paranoid with each day, he began to hide and was seen less and less by his court, to the point that he began to completely neglect his lordship duties. He never quite felt comfortable at the family's castle. He lived there for another year until he was married, whereas soon after he began the building of the Cliff Castle, also known as Lindus Cliff, where he eventually came to reside. Tilson Lindus continued to collect the majority of the income the Lindus estates produced, but leaving most of the governing duties to his sister Linda. Linda remained in Grwenhilde Castle as a stand-in for her brother, overseeing the castle's day-to-day activities, handling most of the political and jurisdictional obligations, as well as managing and caring for the castle's upkeep. Grwenhilde Castle has always played an intricate part in the kingdom, being a nearly impregnable stronghold, a stage for many political and lavish parties, and entertaining esteemed guests, and also having one of the kingdom's largest city populations, booming with a growing market economy, and where professional trades for just about any craft can be found. Alright guys, so that's it. That's our little history lesson behind the Linduses and their family's castle. It was a lot, I know, but I really wanted to give you guys something I felt was authentic. And I hope you guys enjoyed that little story. But I'm not going to keep talking. I'm going to go ahead and let this time lapse finish out. And then we'll come back and I'll give you guys a tour of the castle grounds. So just sit back and relax and enjoy the rest of the video. guys, and we are back. And just look at the castle. I think it came out beautifully. I really love the results. As I think I mentioned, I took some inspiration from castles like Karlstein and also Liechtenstein Castle in Germany, and of course a few others, just to kind of overall get the aesthetic look that I was aiming for. And again, I think it came out beautifully. I'm really loving it. You could just imagine how a castle like this would appear to the people it's ruling over, or onlookers who are coming to the castle for the first time, or all that. It's so imposing and majestic all at the same time. And if we just kind of fly around and we just take a look at its almost pristine plastering work, and how some of the plastering is starting to fade in some places, and it almost kind of has like this appearance that the castle is almost carved from the stone foundation that it sits upon. I have to say that this castle is probably by far one of my most favorite castles I've built to date on the channel, and it really makes me excited about continuing this series and seeing where this castle town goes and how I develop it. And I'm going to do my best to try to impress you guys, and I just hope you guys are excited for this as much as I am. So let's go ahead and start the tour, but real quick, I'm going to show you guys the bridge. So as you guys can see, I went with a wooden bridge instead of a stone bridge. I was debating on this, and I just thought to myself, I don't think that a stone bridge would look as good in this tight, kind of smaller space. So I just went ahead and added a wood bridge, and I think it came out looking real nice. And I think it makes sense from a defensive perspective. If, say, the guards need to quickly cut off access to the gate because maybe portcullis issues, they could just fire down a fire arrow to destroy the bridge. And overall, I just think aesthetically the wooden bridge design just works and looks a little better. But we're gonna go ahead and continue on with the tour. So let's go ahead and make our way down this bridge and come to our first set of gatehouse towers. And as you see, we have our heraldic banner colors, the black and yellow, as well as we have arrow slits on both sides of the towers for defending, as well as this kind of coat of arms sigil, the Lindus family's crest. And we have this placed over the gatehouses of each and every entrance, to kind of remind any visitors that are coming to the castle and moving through the castle that, hey, this is the Lindus family's castle. But also because I just think it looks cool, and it adds a nice little extra layer of detail. And the fact that this particular block being black and yellow makes it able for me to use it in this way, being that black and yellow are the heraldic colors of the Lindus family. And so I thought that was pretty cool. And so moving on, and as you guys notice as we move through, we do not have any murder holes stationed at any of the gatehouses, and that's just because the particular design of this gatehouses, it doesn't really allow for me to create the interior workings that a portcullis and murder holes would need. So we're gonna have to cover those on the main castle gate for the city. But let's go ahead and we'll go inside our first tower here. As you can see, the design of the tower here is very accurate, it being very cramped and winding. I like to mention it each time that this was a purposeful design because it put the attackers at a very large disadvantage and made it much more easy for defenders to defend it, meaning that the climb went clockwise, causing anyone coming up the stairs to have their sword arm blocked, whereas defenders coming down would have theirs free to fight. And so moving along up the tower, as you guys notice, we have these arrow slits and windows that see out, and I kind of did my due diligence to make these as accurate and as purposeful as I can, not just make them there just for looks. I wanted them to actually be created where you can look out and actually view and see attackers coming. So I think I did an okay job with that. So if we open this door here and we step out, we find ourselves on the battlements on our gatehouse towers, and as you see, our guards would be stationed here, and they'll be able to have views on anyone entering or leaving the castle, and they can, again, if they need it be, they can destroy that bridge. And what we have here, we have what I like to think of is, well, the best I could do with the space I had provided is the portcullis mechanism. And again, this was all I can really do in this little bit of space, because I didn't really want to take up too much space, because again, I wanted to leave the battlements free, so again our guards can have that view to be able to attack like so. So we can, I didn't want to block this view with it, so I did the best I could with that. So the way I kind of look at it is, maybe under this floor there's, you know, the bigger mechanism that controls the heavier parts of the gate, and then it kind of has like a chain that's connected to this that, you know, our guards would either pull this down to release the gate or crank it back up to set it into position to keep the gate open. So that's just that. And again, I did the best I could with this little bit of space, and you know, maybe I'll figure out a better design and I'll come back and change it, but I think it's fine for now. So let's just go ahead and make our way back down. And let's go ahead and exit out from this door here. Go ahead and close that. So now we come to our castle's second level of defense, our second set of gatehouse towers, where we have arrow slits right here, so the defenders can easily defend at this point as well as a coat of arms right there. But we're gonna go ahead and move on in. So now we come into this kind of outer courtyard, or this outer bailey, where we have this big wall right here. And again, I couldn't really, actually I could have, but you know, I didn't do it. But those are obviously supposed to represent the machiculations, and I was thinking maybe I will go ahead and add those in, because I just don't like, I don't know, I don't really like to just have something there that represents. I kind of like it to feel and work the way it would work in, I guess, the real world. So again, the way this would work obviously is when attackers would make it this far, they would obviously want to seek shelter up against this wall, having just dodged the first two layers of defenses. So those machiculations would work in a way where the defenders up at top could still shoot down at them to take them out. So yeah, this would not be a very pretty place to be, which is another reason why I want to kind of go ahead and make those actual functioning machiculations. And you know, I think I'll do that eventually when I get around to it. So again, we'll go ahead and advance to our third set of gatehouses, and as you see, again, we have arrow slits stationed right at the front, because you couldn't have, there's no such thing of having too many defenses on a castle. Again, not a nice place to be, because you're right in range of all these different arrow slits, and where defenders can just pelt you with arrows. So yeah. And now as we pass through this final portcullis gate, we finally make our way into the inner bailey. And again, guys, it's not much going on here, as you guys can see. And that is because I actually haven't got a chance to do any interiors for this castle yet. So I'm still in a place where I'm still just deciding where I want more windows and doors and arrow slits to go. So I didn't want to go ahead and completely fill this bailey with things and then have to change it later, because more than likely what you see here may be changed just a bit. But I did want to just kind of stage it for you guys to give you guys some points of interest to see, and just take a second to just kind of look around a little bit. We have our heraldic colors hanging there, and then over here we have just a little storage area where we're keeping some supplies and keeping it out of the rain, keeping stuff dry. And then over here, of course, we have a stables, because hands down our castle would need a stable for many reasons. Because again, if our lords needed to evacuate the castle or just wanted their horse, they would, you know, come here to their stables and get it, versus having a servant go into town to fetch them a horse to bring it all the way back to the castle. As well as if any visitors were to come visit the castle, and you know, they will probably come on horseback, and they will want to leave their horse in the castle as well. So yeah, we have our horse stables, we have a place for the horses to eat, as you guys can see. And up there, this building, particularly right here, I'm thinking that will become the knight's house, or the guard's house, or you know, a guard's barrack of some sort. So if we go ahead and make our way inside this tower here, I just kind of want to show you guys the access points of the walls or the battlements from here. So if we come out here, well, we're gonna go ahead and go back in, but right here is where we want to come. Again, we have our portcullis mechanism here, so our guards stationed up here can easily activate it, access it, and close it. And as you see, our guards have views of anyone coming into the castle. Again, lots of vantage points this castle has for our defenders. And again, now we can come out here. And to note, you guys, the only way of accessing these castle battlements is through entering through the gatehouses here, and that is so to effectively stop anyone from entering the castle easily that shouldn't be there. And here again will be where the knights and guards quarters would be located. So again, if you're trying to enter into this castle and you thought that you're gonna go ahead and go in through one of these entrances down here and make your way up to the battlement and, you know, ideally gain access to the main keep through there, then, you know, it probably isn't going to be worth your effort, because you'll be stopped and pretty much destroyed by those guards. So now we come to this gatehouse here, where honestly it feels kind of unnecessary at this point with all the layers of defenses that we've seen thus far. But I guess you could never have too many layers of defenses, especially when you're as rich as these guys are. But I have to say, technically at this point, this level of defense would not be for, like, say, a invading army. This would be more so for crowd control, or to slow down or stop an angry mob of peasants that may, you know, want to storm the castle one day. And so, you know, they can close these big heavy wooden doors to block off any access to the castle. Again, we do have murder holes here in the ceiling to kind of act as a layer of defense as well. And I like to think of this being built, you know, maybe after Tanis Lindus died by his son, because again, his son Tilson became very paranoid, and, you know, maybe he thought that they needed an extra level of defenses, so he had these doors, these big heavy reinforced doors installed. And as you can see, the murder holes are here, like so. And I can imagine that when it's lights out time at the castle, that Lord Lindus, Tilson Lindus, would, you know, have these doors closed and locked, so, you know, just so he can feel more secure and safe when he slumbers. And again, as we come to another entryway, we have our heraldic coat of arms right there on the top of that entry. And again, we have another murder hole there. Unnecessary, but Tilson thought it was necessary. So anyways, we go up the stairs, and this will be the entrance into the main castle, or the keep. The castle isn't quite finished yet, but my plan is to have some kind of secret escape pathway. And so I was thinking about maybe adding a little door here where it goes down into an undercroft in the foundation, where it had eventually let out. I'm not sure what they're called, if there's even a term for it, but that's the idea. And basically, again, it'll be a door that leads through some underground tunnels, and it'll probably let out around this area here. And then we'll have like some wooden scaffolding for stairs, and, you know, it'll go down here where there'll be like a small little dock with a little boat just sitting here, you know, kept secret, kept quiet. Not many people would know of it, but that'll act as a way for, you know, the family to escape the castle. If, you know, say if the bridges had to be burned or destroyed and there'll be no other way out the castle, so that would be an escape route they can take. Or if the castle was invaded and for whatever reason, you know, the family needs to narrowly make it out alive, that would again act as their salvation. But you guys, that's it. I know it wasn't a lot to show you guys as far as the inner Bailey workings go, but again, this castle is not quite finished yet. Obviously, once I start to do the interiors and I start to really, you know, shape it and, you know, get all that stuff set in stone, then we'll have more to see, and we'll be happy to show you guys. So in the next video, we'll probably go ahead and build up the wall around this plateau here where the city will be enclosed by, and then we'll probably have part of that video towards the ending. We'll probably do a tour of some of the interiors I managed to finish. But, you know, to see how it turned out, you guys just have to come back and join me in the next episode. So as always, if you guys enjoy this type of content and would like to see more, please subscribe. You know, don't forget to give this video a thumbs up, because it helps with the algorithm. Also, don't forget to comment. You know, I enjoy reading your guys' comments and all that good stuff, and I will 100% reply to each and every one of you. I hope I managed to inspire you with this episode. And until next we meet, I bid you a farewell.